And welcome to Sports with a Z and a T podcast. I'm Bryce Linsky alongside Taylor Lattimore. We are presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by Mohawk Honda, Saving Face Barbershop up in Saratoga Springs, and Tech East Fire and Water Restoration, as Gaz has done in the intro and introduced last week as well. Very exciting news coming down the pipeline. We have the NBA Finals to talk about. We're going to talk about the Team USA basketball team that's not doing so great. We'll talk about Shohei Ohtani and his performance during the All-Star week, how he won the weekend. I'll say weekend, or I'll say week because it's technically the week. Shohei Ohtani captured all the headlines, even though he didn't even win the home run derby. We'll talk about that. We have NFL lists on lists on lists to discuss, and Saratoga opening day is this Thursday, so plenty to get to. But first and foremost, the number one topic, and it always has been on this show, and it will remain until the basketball season is over. Let's talk about those NBA Finals. And we discussed last week how we thought it was going to be a long series. It's looking like we are headed that way. We both picked the Suns to win the series. However, 6 or 7. I believe you picked actually 5, didn't you?
No. I think I picked.
We both picked 6. No, we both
6.
I think we both picked 6.
To be fair, that was before we knew about Giannis.
So we did record that episode, and we'll get right to it with that, I guess. We recorded last week's episode with Giannis being officially questionable, so we knew he was going to play at some point. Did we know it was going to be game 1? No, not at that time. It's a good thing we kind of hedged ourselves a little bit so we didn't look so bad, because Giannis has played, obviously, and not only has he played, he's looked good. Giannis is really on point to put together an NBA Finals, really a historic performance in any NBA Finals. Giannis became the only player in the last 25 seasons to score 40 points in a Finals game, which was Game 3, without making a field goal outside of 5 feet. The next closest during that span was LeBron and David Robinson. So Giannis is making his presence felt where we were questioning whether or not he would be able to because of the hyperextended knee. He has been fine. We won't take away from the fact that the Suns are up 2-1 in this series. They didn't look their greatest in Game 3. Actually, they looked pretty abysmal in Game 3. Devin Booker even got benched.
Devin Booker, he was bad.
So we're going to get to that. I always say, and this is so cliche, but I've always said this, that a series, and this is more of a hockey thing, I'm not so sure it's more of an NBA thing, but I'm going to apply it here. It's not really a series until the home team loses. And we haven't had that yet. The Suns take the 2 games out in Phoenix. The Bucks have taken the first game since the series has switched to Milwaukee. And tonight is, and this show airs on Wednesday. Tonight is Game 4 in Milwaukee. We'll see how the Bucks look. Are the Suns going to rebound from their worst performance of the finals? We don't know. They looked great in Game 1 and Game 2. Game 3, not so much.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was actually thinking about that, the cliche that you put out. It's not a series until the home team loses. And I just kind of thought about how silly it is, because you can go to 7 games where the home team never loses, just if you protect home court. And so I was like, well, if it goes 7 games, I think you can call it a series. But I digress. Yeah, no,
that's not the point, Taylor.
I know, but I get what you mean. I get what you mean. But at the beginning of the series when we made our predictions, I think you're right. We both took Suns in 6, but we said it was going to be a long series, regardless of Giannis's health. Even if it was just the bare Bucks without Giannis, they still put up at least a marginal fight. I didn't think that it would be a sweep, and I didn't really think it was going to be a gentleman's sweep either, because I expected Giannis to come back at some point. The fact that he came back and played in Game 1, I think was incredibly surprising for me, for everyone. Like, because that game that he was questionable beforehand, and I was like, I don't think he'll play this game. Maybe Game 2. Maybe it's trending in the right direction, going from doubtful to questionable on the day of. I thought that was a good sign that he would move on and maybe play in Game 2 or Game 3 if they needed, which I expected them to be down 2-0, which they were. But he played in Game 1, and Game 1, he was good. He was all right. So I wasn't too worried about him. He didn't look like James Harden coming back from his hamstring injury. He didn't look hampered too much. And then, I mean, games 2 and games 3, back-to-back 40-point games. I mean, he's not only like playing. It's not like, oh, Giannis is playing. Giannis is fine. Like Giannis is doing spectacular things, historic things, things that haven't been done by anyone but LeBron and Shaq in the last, like, I don't know, 15 years.
Well, Giannis now has 40 and 10 games this postseason, which 2 of them, like you just said, were games 2 and game 3. The NBA record for the most 40-10 games in a postseason run is 5. And that's Kareem in 77 and Shaq did it in 2000. So you're starting to get into that territory if Giannis can continue this stretch. And we said it all along, and it's no secret that the Bucks' chances of winning a championship lied on the health. I said this series will be dictated by the health of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And if Giannis can prove that he's healthy and manage the pain of that knee, and really what it comes down to when you hyperextend a knee, it's more the pain management. It's can he damage it further? And if the risk is not there for him to damage it further and it's a pain tolerance thing, you're going to have a hard time keeping Giannis off the court in the NBA Finals. He is one of the best players in the NBA. He is a reigning NBA MVP. He is one of the most dominating inside perimeter players of not only this generation, but of all time. He is a absolute freak. So
I don't call him the Greek freak for nothing.
Exactly. So when you're looking at what Giannis is doing, and it's truly historic, the fact of the matter is it's still 2-1 Phoenix, right? And Phoenix kind of got away from what they were doing so well in game 3. The corner threes disappeared, first of all, in game 3, and that's something that they were really good at in the first 2 games. They really didn't look themselves offensively at all in game 3. They scored 97.6 points per 100 possessions in the half court, and that's down from 108 in game 2 and 112 in game 1. Their assist rate plummeted from 65% to 52%. And the most striking difference, honestly, to me, like I said, was the corner threes. Phoenix went 10 for 17 in games 2, went 9 for 13 in game 1, 0 for 3 in game 3. They just didn't take them. So this is Phoenix got away from what they did so well, and it's going to be interesting to see tonight and moving forward with a healthy Giannis. Are they going to be able to continue living from the 3? Because they don't get boards. DeAndre Ayton did have Phoenix had 11 in game 2, but generally speaking, this is not a team that gets boards. And this is a team in Milwaukee that's all they do. They have to stretch the floor. They have to hit their threes because they don't have that. You can't ask Jay Crowder to do much in the paint. Ayton can only do so much. Devin Booker needs to show up. And do I expect him to? Absolutely. He's been unbelievable all postseason. But you can't ask CP3 to do everything, especially at this stage of his career. So with that being said, I still feel confident in my Phoenix pick. However, with the way Giannis is playing, which is at a historic level, like I said, it's tough for me to say that it's only going to be 6. I think this could be a 7-game series.
Yeah, I think it's trending that way. I think that's the way it feels. If you're just the feeling of the game, especially because the 2 wins were nice for Phoenix getting those 2 wins, but all they did was they served at home. Like they protected home court. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to win those 2 games at home, and then Giannis and the Bucks are supposed to win these 2 games on the road. And then it gets interesting on a pivotal game 5 because whatever the stat is, like 70% or 80%, even the teams that win game 5 usually win the series. So that's where it starts getting super interesting. I hope, because I'm just hoping for a 7-game series, that the Bucks win tonight when it comes out. When you're listening to this, listeners, it will be tonight. That they will come out and win, and then we have that best of 3, 5, 6, 7 to go on. But you got to wonder if a lot of it is just coming down to home court, especially I think it's obvious that like Middleton and Drew Holiday, they play better at home than they do on the road, like marginally better. Like Giannis, it doesn't matter because we saw Giannis in game 2 put up 40 points in a loss because it doesn't matter because he's a superstar. It doesn't matter if he's home or away. He'll do what he does. And then like Booker even is getting, I think, affected by the home court. Because Pfizer Forum is got a pretty good home court vibe going. Like, I don't know. They're really like stepping their players up because I mean, like Middleton is, I don't have the stats pulled up, but I've seen it on Twitter where he's just ridiculous at home compared to on the road. He's like average at best, but at home he's averaging like 26 points or something like that. And for Booker to only have 10 points, that was just surprising to say the least.
And so really as there it is. There's Otis. I think after 3 games, okay, Otis, that's enough. Thank you. Yes, I understand. I think after 3 games, it's kind of clear what Milwaukee has to do. And that's beat Phoenix up, win the possession game, and dominate from the free throw line. The Bucks scored 54 points in the paint and generally overpowered Phoenix. And Phoenix can shoot all these threes all they want, but when you have Giannis, Middleton, Torrey Craig bruising up DeAndre Ayton, you take DeAndre Ayton and put him into foul trouble, and what else does Phoenix have? You know what I mean? So this is a team that when Crowder and Torrey Craig are your most imposing players, I should say, on the floor, that's not a recipe for success when you have a team that's probably the most physical. I mean, you throw out another team if I'm wrong, but probably the most physical team in the entire NBA in Milwaukee, both offensively and defensively. They're one of the most aggressive attacking teams in all of basketball. It's just a bad matchup for the Suns, and that's what I was concerned about. If Giannis was proven to be able to play close to 100%, and nobody's 100% at this point in the year, and you're clearly not coming off a hyperextended knee, but if you're able to provide that type of performance and allow the supporting cast to pick up the pieces where they fall, this is a Bucks team that has all the momentum, and it'll be interesting to see how Phoenix answers come tonight.
Yeah, and it's obvious, like you said, that the Bucks are the bigger, more bruising team, I would say, and they've won every single rebound battle so far this series. That's single one.
Surprise.
Yeah, every single one. The Bucks are winning the rebounding battle, not by a whole lot sometimes, but like the other night, it was the game 3. It was by like 11, and it's like those add up. And if Giannis keeps doing what he's doing, which is, I don't know if he did this as much when he was like against like the Nets, where we thought that he would kind of dominate in the paint, and he kind of didn't for a couple of games where we thought that they might lose to the Nets, especially when they were down 0-2 and the Nets looked great. And granted, they had injuries, but those injuries weren't to who was defending Giannis. But in this series, it's just like he's realized that like no one can stop him. Like Ayton can't, and he's the biggest guy, their strongest guy. No one can stop him. And so he's just getting downhill, getting to the rim, and that's the recipe for them. And then from there, it's just like, can Middleton and Drew Holiday hit their shots? Can they play good defense? Can they contest shots on Devin Booker? Can they force him out of his comfort zone, which is, again, also what they were doing last night, because 10 points is more than just like a cold game. That's a bad game from Booker. So I think it was a combination of being on the road and they were playing good, suffocating, contest everything, put a hand up defense, and it was working.
So, and I didn't want to tackle too much on, the NBA outside of the NBA finals, but it's kind of hard to ignore at this point as I'm, as it's developing and as we're on air, and I'm sure you've monitored this as well. It's becoming apparent that the Sixers have opened up, and this is per Shams, per Woj, per Mark Stein. I mean, this is getting a lot of traction throughout the day. The Sixers are open to trading Ben Simmons, would like an all-star caliber player in return, obviously.
And not like a Ferrari, but here we are.
Shut up. I hate you. I really do. I do. I don't know why I ask you to join the show every single week. I don't know why I picked you as my co-host. But no. So with that being said, there is still, according to Shams, plenty of interest throughout the league. And Mark Stein listed the teams that are lining up for Ben Simmons if he does indeed become available via Daryl Morey. The list as of now is Cleveland, Indiana, Minnesota, Toronto, and Sacramento. Those are the teams that are hot. Now, this is where I'm going with this. So keep an eye on Minnesota, because Minnesota has the assets that a team like Portland would want. And we talked about how this would likely have to be somehow, some way, a 3-team deal with Ben Simmons on the go.
If you're trying to get Dame, yeah.
If you're trying to get a Damian Lillard, that's the team to keep an eye on. If there's going to be a deal to be made, I would see Ben Simmons going to Minnesota. And we have a special guest, actually.
It's the big guy.
Look at this. Look at this.
Shohei Ohtani's a bum. You hear me? That overrated bum.
Here, put on the headphones.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
I go control my
Shohei Ohtani. More like strike out a latte, am I right? What a bum. That circus freak. I've invaded the Sports with the A through a Z podcast. Here I am.
And Otis.
With my
and Otis is here.
Dog. Yeah, it's a party. It's a party in the Bryce apartment.
I'm gonna go take a poop in your bathroom, Bryce.
Here. I got Corona. I got Truly. I got Bud Light. Got Budweiser. It's a party.
Oh, that's so funny.
As Gaz has to do trivia tonight at Doghouse.
Proud sponsor of Health Media.
Poor guy.
Otis is not too happy about it.
No, Otis is not thrilled. There's a lot going on right now. That a lot happens when I talk about Ben Simmons.
It's always Ben Simmons.
Have fun.
See ya, guys. The surprise guest appearance, a little cameo right there.
Yeah, guys with the little cameo. My dog losing his ever-loving mind. I know my security system works.
That's for damn sure.
But back to what I was saying about Ben Simmons. We talked about how it would be necessary for a 3-team trade. I'm just gonna let him go. I'm just gonna let him go. I'm just gonna. You know what? I'm just gonna let it happen. Just gonna let it happen. All right. Enough. This episode's going off the rails real quick. No, 3-team trade, right? So Minnesota has a bunch of draft picks. You don't know if they're going to be sending Karl Anthony Towns, and that's a team. Hey, maybe Portland is open to bringing in Cat. I don't know, but if a team like and reports have come out that Daryl Morey is interested in Lillard, but not McCollum, and he will not give up Ben Simmons in a deal just to receive McCollum. He is star hunting, and he wants an all-star caliber player like Damian Lillard. So I think that would be the perfect match. I mean, look, we've talked about it plenty of times on this show. That I think it would be the perfect match in heaven to surround Joel Embiid, and I think it's time for everyone involved. I mean, you have those Ben Simmons truthers out there still. I am no longer one of them.
Good,
but
hop off that bandwagon.
But it's interesting to see that's developing. It's been coming across the feed now for the past couple of minutes. I thought I'd address it. It's
Bryce, I'm very glad that you brought up Ben Simmons because I wanted to ask you, did you watch the ESPYs the other night?
I did. I laughed.
Did you see that one joke
of
about
course.
Ben Simmons? That was absolutely hilarious.
I mean, it didn't go viral or anything, but
no, yeah, no. Well, it was. I thoroughly enjoyed it. and I thought that it was brilliantly
If
done.
if anybody has no idea what we're talking about because nobody watches the ESPYs because the ESPYs are
You're right. I didn't watch it. I just saw it.
Are a travesty. And I have better things to do on my Saturday evenings. I don't even know if it was Saturday night. I just didn't watch it. Pretty much anything ESPN does is a travesty at this point, but I digress. Yeah, I believe Andrew Bogut tweeted the fact that the ESPYs still exist is a travesty to mankind or something like that. It was just really funny. But no, I saw the tweet. Ben Simmons is now a punchline all across sports, and I get it, and I'm over it. I'm really over it, and I'm just ready to move on.
I'm not over it. I'm here for it.
I'm not over seeing the Bucks play the Suns in the NBA Finals. This was the Sixers year. I know it, and it just hurts. It's
for anyone who
time.
didn't watch the ESPYs and is not in Twitter. Basically, the joke was that Ben Simmons is doing some great humanitarian work, and he's building houses out in wherever impoverished neighborhoods with all the bricks that he's laying with these shots in the playoffs. And then they showed a little clip, and then they brought the two kids out, and they had him go, "Thanks, Ben Simmons." It was so funny. I'm done now. I'm done now.
Yeah,
you brought up Ben Simmons. I did not. I just had to throw that in there.
I brought Ben Simmons up because it was a prevalent topic for our
that is prevalent.
Podcast,
that is prevalent.
Taylor.
People are laughing right now. That is prevalent. We're laughing with you, not at you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
All right. Seriously.
Can we move on?
Seriously, yes. If that were to happen, that would be better for everyone, I think, because I think, as I mentioned before, Ben Simmons going to Portland makes no sense to me. But if they want him in Minnesota, that's a little different.
I don't know if they'd pair him with Cat or if they try to build around Ben. I'm not really
they would
sure.
Have to build around Ben. I mean, I think Cat's better than Ben, obviously, but I don't know, because I think the Sixers might have to throw something in, which I think they should to get Dame. If Dame's on the table, throw whatever you want.
You're going to see Tyrese Maxey involved in a deal. Yeah. You're going to see Matisse Thybulle.
That might move the needle to get Cat, maybe, but I don't think you can pair him with Cat with him because it's basically like pairing him with Joel Embiid.
Three-team deals are very complicated to pull off,
for sure.
In the NBA, you see it more often than any other league. However, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think that you can simply trade Ben Simmons for something without a third team involved just to make the money work.
It'll be a 4-team trade, and Oklahoma City will be in there just to get more picks because that's what they do best.
Yeah,
they're like in like these 3-team trades where it's just like this team, and then Oklahoma City is in there getting more draft picks. I'm interested to see how that works out for them in the next like 10 years because they have like protected picks.
Lottery picks for the next 13 years. It's ridiculous.
Insane.
So
if they blow all of them, that'll just be something to behold.
Well, the Sixers managed to do it, so
exactly.
Another.
I mean, Presti has drafted 3 MVPs in the last 20 years, but
we hit on Embiid, okay? We hit on Embiid. Fultz and Simmons, not so much, okay? But yeah, we're gonna
Simmons will give you a 0.5 point.
We're gonna move on. It looked good for a while.
for a while.
Just didn't happen.
Speaking also of Embiid, or Simmons, but to bring it back to,
I thought you said you were done.
I'm not talking about him. I'm just saying, bringing it back to the NBA Finals. I wanted to make a point that I think it's awesome that Giannis is unafraid to drive to the hoop because we all know his free throw woes are what they are, but he is not afraid to do it, and so sometimes he can have games. Yes, and that's the difference between him and Ben Simmons. And then he can have games where the other day I think he was 13 of 17 from the line, and it's like there you go. Like you're gonna have those games where you're 13 of 17 from the line, and you're gonna have those games where you're 10 of like 20, but take them. That's the only way to get better is to practice in real games, because obviously practice is not working.
Practice. We're talking about practice, not the game.
Practice.
But practice. It's clear there's a team that's not doing much of that. And that would
You're damn right.
And that would be Team USA getting ready for the Olympics, if you want to call it getting ready. They have been a national embarrassment, a worldwide embarrassment. They are coming off two horrible losses. Their first loss against Nigeria, they lost 90-87. And then on Monday, they decided that they weren't going to show up again and lost to Australia 91-83. So Team USA is a week and a half, 2 weeks away from competing in the Tokyo Olympics. If it happens, who knows at this point? But this has not been pretty by any stretch of the imagination. It is clear that these NBA stars need to adapt to FIBA competition and realize that they are not getting officiated by NBA referees, because how this team is playing, it's like they expect the calls to go their way. They're not. I mean, you'll get, Lillard dropping 22 points. Durant dropped 17. You had Patty Mills put up 22 for Australia on him the other night. And Joe Ingles looking like, NBA superstar out there dropping 17. You had 4 players out of the 10 that saw action for Team USA shoot 50% or higher from the field against Australia. That doesn't have Ben Simmons, by the way. And Nigeria.
Probably would have won if they had Ben Simmons.
Probably. Liability on the offensive end of the floor.
Exactly.
Lillard, Bradley Beal, your boy Bam, and Keldon Johnson are the only players that shot over 50% from the field. Embarrassment was a word. Wake-up call has been another word thrown out there. But this team needs to realize now more than ever that premium talent alone is not going to be enough to earn gold this summer. You can't expect the calls just to go your way because you are the world's best. And you are. You are the world's best. And the sooner this team realizes it, the quicker they could go back to just dominating everybody. But you have a Slovenian team led by Luka. You have an Argentinian team that's going to be good, as they always are. Australia now has the confidence that they can beat you. Hell, Nigeria has the confidence to beat you because they did. How do you look? Nothing against Nigeria. I'm sure
there's another one of my boys too, Precious Achua.
And I'm sure they are filled with a bunch of full-hearted, 110% effort players, giving it their all. But you're the goddamn NBA on the national stage. And you lose 90-87 to Nigeria and then follow up with another clunker to Australia. Now, as we are recording, they do play Argentina tonight at 6. So it'll be interesting to see how this translates into tomorrow. But Nigeria and Australia have had a few weeks of practice. Team USA it's only practiced 2.5 days at this point. Australia has the nucleus that has played together for several years.
Yep.
But I don't want to hear that Team USA is still in a feeling out period when it comes to playing with each other, and that they're still in NBA mode. You're NBA All-Stars. You've played together off the court. You work out together. You all talk between games. You have that chemistry. You're all boys. It's not like the 80s and 90s where everybody hates everybody. You're all boys. You all have your mini banana boat getaways with each other. From Tatum to Bradley Beal. I mean, you see them staring down officials if they don't get a call right because they're accustomed to receiving touch fouls. And we talk about this with Trae Young, James Harden, Luka, even though Luka's not on Team USA. But, teams are being aggressive with them defensively, and they're not getting the, touch fouls, star treatment that you get in the NBA because FIBA doesn't give a shit. They're talking about, they care about fundamental basketball, and the NBA style ain't going to cut it on this stage. Don't be a worldwide embarrassment and go and get your act together and win gold medal.
All right. I mean, they've only played like 2 games together, and it seems like they don't have any type of offense going besides just ISO. Like they give it to Dame and they're just like, Dame, score, please.
It's bad.
I know. There's just like, Dame, score, please. We're gonna ISO you and just, do your thing, maybe, hopefully. And that's not really how it should work. It should be, it's team basketball. It's not every man for himself here.
Well,
they're 2 exhibition games, so you don't mean
they don't mean anything.
Things.
And this could be another conversation that we have next week.
Like if we all forget about this, if they go into the tournament and they just destroy everyone,
correct,
and win a gold,
and they could be looking at this as, I don't care, I just played a full NBA slate and now I'm playing in the Olympics. I'm not trying to go full out in an exhibition game. If that's the case, fine. But Team USA has lacked any presence defensively as well as offensively. You look at USA basketball teams of the past, and they were defensive nightmares. Emphasis centered on aggressive full court pressure, traps, you name it, and it brought the heat on other teams. Australia shot 53% from the field and outscored Team USA in the paint 44-24. That's just not. You have Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. How are you getting outscored in the paint 44-24? What are you doing? And bam. What are you doing?
I don't know. Well, I mean, if you look at the team, it's not who on this team scares you defensively besides maybe Draymond or Bam. I mean, Kevin Durant can maybe sometimes.
And Popovich,
he has length.
Popovich has said in all of his press conferences that players are still rounding into shape, so they don't really want to apply their full court pressure and full system of defense yet. But it's still so. Even the embarrassing team, the team before the redemption team. So was that 2006? 2004, the team. Okay,
2004 was the team that got bronze or whatever. That
got bronze. So even that team handled its business in exhibition. Since 1992, Team USA in friendlies is 54-2. Their 2 losses have been the last 2 games.
Yeah.
The Americans already accumulated as many losses as they have in 29 years. In 29 years. That's not just disappointment. That's reason to panic. That's reason to be embarrassed. There are 3 more exhibitions to play. Like I said, Argentina's Tuesday night, so you'll know the result when the show airs. You have Australia on Friday, and then Spain on Sunday in Vegas before they go to Japan. Granted, there's 3 players playing in the NBA Finals that are supposed to be on this roster. Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton. So it's embarrassing. You want to panic, but at the same time, help is on the way in Booker and Holiday and Middleton. So it's just tough.
You shouldn't need the help. You have Kevin Durant. You have Kevin Durant, and you have Bradley Beal, and you have Jason Tatum. When the worst player on the court is arguably Draymond Green, if he's playing, or their starters, the worst player is Bam or Jason Tatum? Probably Bam. They're different players, but still, you shouldn't need those people when the other side is playing with Patty Mills. Patty Mills is your best player, and you can't beat a team that when Patty Mills is the best player. You're Kevin Durant. You're supposed to be the best player in the world.
I just don't want to hear the excuse. And look,
But these
I've said
players
it
have been always soft, so maybe it's an exhibition. We're not trying hard.
I've said it on this show. Like, I don't typically care about the Olympics. I'll watch Team USA on the court. And if there's a big topic, look, there's athletes pulling out left and right, and I'm not sure these Olympics are going to be watchable to any extent. But this Team USA basketball team is giving cause for concern. And I don't want to hear, well, we're not acclimated to the new rules. Well, we're not used to this kind of officiating. Well, once we're equipped with more practice time, well, once we get the entire roster in place, well, then we'll be okay. You played Nigeria and Australia and lost both of them. You're Team USA. You have Kevin Durant, who's arguably one of the most talented players to ever see the court in basketball history. I'll say basketball history because it can't be just the NBA. We're on the world stage. You have Kevin Durant. You have one of the most pure shooters in all of basketball, and Bradley Beal. Look, it's embarrassing. And, you know, the world's looking at Team USA, licking their chops like, we want a part of that now. You're opening the door with teams not to be scared of you and believe that they can be aggressive against you. And that's where you can get upset. You might put out your best, and a team might just be better that day. Don't give teams a window of believing they can beat you. And that's what Team USA has been so good at for the past 29 years.
Okay, so Nigeria and Australia just beat them with their best players being like maybe arguably Precious. Oh, I mean, he played the best, I'd say, for Nigeria. And then Patty Mills. What do you think Luka's doing over there sitting with Slovenia being like, pff, pff, if Patty Mills can beat you, I for damn sure can, because I'm one of the best players in the world. And especially on like a Euro type like environment, like a more of a world stage than just the NBA. We know Luka can do it because he was the MVP of the EuroLeague and he won a championship.
July 25th is when it matters. That's when it starts to matter for Team USA. They play France July 25th at 8 a.m. Then they play, Jesus God help me, Mary and Joseph. They play Iran. If they lose to Iran July 28th, I didn't even know Iran played basketball. Like,
oh, they do. Don't count them out. I don't actually know who.
And then July 31st, their opponents to be determined because that team hasn't even clinched its spot in the Olympics yet. We're a week away from opening ceremony and they haven't clinched a spot. So Team USA, please just handle your business and let's not be a global joke again.
It's
we already did that. We already
honestly
did that in 04, but it is concerning.
I'm looking back at all the exhibition games from every year, including the World Championships, and like Australia has been giving us trouble lately because I think they've gotten better, but not too much trouble because, you know, like we don't lose every time we play them, but they have beat us before. But it's just most of the years, especially Olympic years, like they handle their business with a margin of victory of like 20 every exhibition game. And so I don't know if it's just apathy from the players, especially ones who are just in the playoffs recently or what else. And it was a slightly longer season. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like they're trying to, you know, they're not putting it into full gear. But like the thing is, you don't want to get caught with your pants down when you're not in full gear and you're coming into teams that are and have been playing hard and are ready to go come when it matters. And if we get caught with our pants down, it's only a few losses, and then, you know, you make the tournament, much less get gold, you know?
It's concerning, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. I think
we're going to win this game tonight. They can't lose it. There's no way. They're not going to go 3 losses after everyone's been clowning them. If they do, I mean, maybe I'll have to eat my words next week, but if they do, I will be very, very surprised. Like, I think at this point today, like they'll just give the ball to Kevin Durant and be like, Kevin, just score 40 for us, please.
I'm not going to say a word. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna let you fall on the sword for us.
No, I'm doing it. There's no way they lose tonight. No way. They're winning against Argentina. There's no Manu.
Manu Ginobili. That is true. And there's no. The Gasol brothers are Spain, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Spain.
so there is no Manu for Argentina, so please. I think we found our topic when it comes to the Olympics. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Before we head over to what I want to talk about the MLB All-Star Week, I want to let you know about Mohawk Honda and their special deal right now when it comes to trade-ins. You look around and you've traded in your vehicle. Now what? Every dealer, for the most part, wants your trade-in right now. It's just the times that the market is extremely high because of the shortage of inventory in the market, period. So you trade in your car, bottom line, and get money in your hands. Now what? Most of these dealers don't really have anything for you to buy. But at Mohawk Honda, not only do they give you top dollar for that trade-in, they also have acres and acres of inventory for you to choose from. So they have the largest inventory of vehicles in the capital region, and that means you can really choose the one that's right for you. Some of these dealers like to talk about their values, but at Mohawk Honda, they'd rather show you theirs in the value and selection that they have, and more importantly, the value and how you're treated there at Mohawk Honda. So don't feel pressured into buying something from another dealer because that's the best they can do and you settle and you're not really feeling that great about your purchase. Go to Mohawk Honda and buy the vehicle you deserve. Their vast selection of certified pre-owned vehicles is guaranteed to fit your needs, your lifestyle, and not the other dealers' values that they always harp on. So this summer, selection is king, and no one has more to choose from than Mohawk Honda, where, of course, they always go out of their way to please you. I want to talk about Shohei Ohtani, and he has he dominated the All-Star Week festivities.
Mm-hmm.
The home run derby was a bit of a disappointment, but yet, congratulations to Pete Alonso. But guess what the talking point is? It's Shohei Ohtani. Trey Mancini was a great storyline to see him in the finals. That was awesome to see. Pete Alonso defended his crown, like I just said. However, just the presence of Shohei Ohtani and just everything, the coverage around him, whether it be batting practice, where he hit a 510-foot bomb. I have a buddy that lives out in Denver. He worked for the Colorado Avalanche, and he sells tickets. He went to the home run derby and sat in right field in the nosebleeds, just because it got good tickets and go to the home run derby. You don't get to go to the home run derby every year.
Why not?
He said he watched that ball sail over his head and through the opening of the last row of the seats and where they hold the lights up, and it went through and into the parking lot. Shohei Ohtani is a man amongst boys. Now, Gaz came in here about 15 minutes into our show and ripped Shohei to shreds. But he is, and we can have the discussion, maybe not today, because there's a couple things I still want to get to. And, we talk about how we want a shorter show, and here we are 45 minutes in already. It's just the weekly thing at this point. It's fine. Shohei Ohtani might be, which is kind of ironic. I mean, you could talk about Fernando Tatis. You could talk about Mike Trout, who is Shohei Ohtani's teammate. You could talk about Vlad Guerrero Jr. You could talk about Bryce Harper. You could talk about Aaron Judge. Shohei Ohtani is becoming the face of baseball.
Yeah. I mean, he's the most exciting player, I would argue. I mean, Fernando Tatis is up there, I'd say, in excitement. And Aaron Judge, when he's actually hitting the ball, is exciting. Mike Trout is not exciting at all, which has always been the big criticism of him is he's the best player in baseball probably for the last 5 years or whatever. But you don't hear anything about him because he just goes about his business. He puts up great numbers and you don't hear a damn thing about him. And Shohei Ohtani comes in here doing Babe Ruth things. And I think it captures the imagination of people who to think that a guy could be this good at hitting, but also be really good at pitching and play both sides of the ball like that. it just doesn't happen. This never happens, and never happens to the degree that he's one of the best at both. Like, he's one of the best pitchers, and he's one of the best hitters, maybe the best hitter right now. And it's like, it's such a weird combination that doesn't happen ever.
I think what people are really gravitating to Shohei for is the mere fact that he's doing what Babe Ruth did, what Double Duty Radcliffe and Bullet Rogan did in the Negro Leagues. It's special and not something you ever thought you'd see again. And doing it in an era when baseball players are more talented than really they've ever been. I just listed off names off the top of my head because they're the first ones that came to mind. Tatis, Vlad, Judge, Trout, Harper, Soto. I mean, the list goes on and on. Every team. I had this conversation with my buddy last night as we were watching the Derby. Every team has an all-star. They could be one of the worst teams in the entire league. They could be a joke of a franchise. Every team has an all-star to some extent. The Pirates have Brian Hayes. The Orioles have Trey Mancini and Cedric Mullins and Ryan Mountcastle now. Even the Tigers, Jonathan Scope is coming into his own. You have Tariq Skubal and Casey Mize coming into their own. You still have Miguel Cabrera, and he's not really an all-star anymore, but you get my point. So when you have every team having their star and all these markets gravitating towards their guy because they have a guy, it for everybody to tune in to what Ohtani displayed Monday night, it is just speaks volumes. He has a skill set that's gravitating, a vibe that's intoxicating, a storyline that throughout sports, not many people can, I don't know if relate to is the best way to put it, but
I don't think anyone can relate to what he does.
But
that's the point.
That's what I was right. That's the point. Like, nobody can relate to it, so everybody's going to focus in on it. Did he win the home run derby? No, but it didn't matter. He was in it. He was in it, and the cameras, the lights, everybody. Nobody cared about Juan Soto. Nobody cared. And I'm sure people cared, but to my point, nobody cared if Juan Soto won. They wanted to see Shohei Ohtani, and that's the point.
Yeah, it's just like, basketball. They play offense and they play defense, and then you got baseball and obviously hockey. They play both, but baseball and football where they usually don't. And usually, like, you have your offense, you have your defense. They're separated. There's no crossover. So to have a guy that comes in and plays both, it's a spectacle, I'd say. And that's what draws people in, and they want to see more of it because they want to see, can this guy really be one of the best hitters and also be a lights out pitcher most of the time? And yeah, I think he is becoming one of the faces of the league, if not the face.
And everyone saw Stephen A's comments, and they're disgusting. They're horrible. They're false. They're everything wrong with. And I've never liked Stephen A. I never will. And that's, just my opinion. You can turn off this podcast now if you want. I give you permission, but I never have respected Stephen A., never respected his opinion, and didn't give a shit what he had to say. And this is another reason why. In a time, especially coming from, where Stephen A. comes from and just everything going on in America, I think he would be one to appreciate what Shohei is doing. America, for people of Asian descent, is a scary place ever since and even before the pandemic started. But because of where the pandemic originated, because of what is going on now, when so many people have been subjected to violence and mistreatment, Shohei Ohtani was America's spotlight for all of All-Star Weekend. He became the first player to start pitching and in the field in an All-Star game history. He didn't even win the home run derby and was the storyline. He, English, Japanese, it didn't matter the language. America gravitated towards him. And, you know, it was nothing but amazing. And I hope Stephen A, you know, he issued an apology, whatever. I'm not buying it. I'm not taking it. You know, you had plenty of time to prepare for that show and prepare what you were going to say. And that's what you said. So actions speak louder than words, and Shohei's actions and what he did on baseball's America's pastime, biggest stage, speaks more than anything Stephen A could ever say.
Yeah. And it's just ridiculous that to even suggest that it's a problem that he can't speak English or needs a translator or whatever.
And by the way, he does speak English, and he did a full speech in 2019 at the awards show in English. Look it up.
Exactly. So, like, I don't even need my athletes to really like talk too much. Like what do we need it for? Like the after game presser where he's just like, you know, let me throw a cliche or two at you. It's one more game. Let's just win the next one. Blah, 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 blah. Like athletes don't say anything of value usually unless they're speaking on like social justice issues. And then maybe you want to listen or whatever, but I often read what they say on Twitter or somewhere else anyway in an article. So, and that's how most people or a lot of people get their and like from that standpoint is like, I don't need my favorite player to say anything. I just want to watch what they do. And you don't have to market. You can market them without them saying anything. Like, you know, who's the face of the NFL right now? I mean, maybe Tom Brady because he just won a Super Bowl or whatever.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. And he sounds like a frog. So what are we doing here? Like, it doesn't matter.
My name is Patrick Mahomes. I like ketchup on my steak.
Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, like nobody really cares what they sound like or what they say or if they talk in a different language or whatever. This is America. We're built on, you know, diversity. That's the whole point. That's why with the Statue of Liberty's whole thing is we take anyone. Well, anyone can come here, whatever. Let's make a life for yourself here. It's America, home of the free. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. And Shohei is awesome, regardless of what language he speaks or ever spoke. Even if he was a mute, he would still be awesome. I've never heard him speak. I don't listen to press conferences, Angels press conferences.
He's very soft. Well, yeah.
I would think he looks like he'd be very soft.
He's very soft spoken, and you know, and that's kind of one of, you know, you don't see that in a lot of stars nowadays. And now I do get it. Some of that is a language barrier and culture differences and everything, but you still don't see a star like that. I mean, you still see very loud spoken foreign stars be very vocal and have a lot of swag. Shohei just kind of goes about his business, man. I think that's what people, it's a fresh look. And I think that's what people like about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I like him, and I've never heard him speak. And
I like him too, especially
he can do whatever he wants.
Especially after I drafted him in like the 12th round of my fantasy draft. I really like him.
I think I had him like last year when he wasn't quite as good.
This is the first year it's all materialized and come together for him. And I mean, This is what people have been hinting at for years, and it finally came together for him. Hopefully he stays healthy and keeps it going because it has been fun to watch.
I hope he has a very long career of doing this.
NFL list season, Taylor. You know, we're right before training camp where we don't have enough to talk about, and all these lists of top, you know, quarterbacks, most, you know, playoff teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, who's the most likely to miss this year, top 10 running backs. So we have a couple lists to run through before we close out the show. And you sent me over the quarterbacks list. We'll go through that real quick. Because we went through it, and you know, we brought up Patrick Mahomes, so it's only right. And then there's a top 10 running backs list that I don't believe you've seen yet, correct?
No.
Okay,
I have
so
not.
so we'll do a little game with that, and then we also have the playoff teams from last year that are most likely not to make it. So we'll tackle those three. Let's start off with the quarterbacks, though, because Taylor is actually the one that sent this over to me and thought we should talk about it. And it's a better list than last week's list.
Yeah, slightly.
But we only
We
have
know
the
it goes
top.
out to 10, so
It only goes to 10. So I mean, who knows? But Patrick Mahomes is 1. Aaron Rodgers is 2. Tom Brady is 3. Russell Wilson
Sounds
is
about right.
4. Josh Allen is 5. Matthew Stafford 6. Dak Prescott 7. Lamar Jackson 8. Justin Herbert 9. And Kyler Murray 10. This is to kind of rewind. Jeremy Fowler polled a group of more than 50 people around the NFL, players, coaches, execs, scouts, and they were given the task of ranking their top 10 to 15 quarterbacks. And this is the consensus ranking. So this is from NFL executives, players, coaches, the whole 9 yards, people around the game. This is the list that we got. Honestly, this is not too surprising to me. The only one that personally I'd probably switch is Herbert over Lamar and Dak. I like Herbert as a long-term quarterback. I guess maybe because he's only played 1 year, that's where they're basing it off of.
Yeah.
But I'd have Herbert a little higher.
I'm surprised that you're so high on Herbert.
I love Herbert. I love Herbert. I think he is a stud.
I like him, but I don't know. I mean, you could probably knock Dak Prescott down a bit, and maybe put him over.
Bum.
I'm actually surprised at how high Matt Stafford is. I mean, 6 is.
I think you're going to realize his potential this year because
now that he's not on Detroit.
Now that he's out of Detroit, he's always been a good team, but he's never been a talking point because he's been in Detroit. Matthew Stafford has always been a very good quarterback, has managed to stay healthy outside of last year, but I think now that he's on the Rams, look, I think the Rams mean business this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
I'm also kind of surprised. I don't know if it has something to do with the the whole scandal that he's embroiled in right now, but Deshaun Watson, I think could crack the top 10.
If he clears his name, Watson is probably right after Russell and ahead of Allen for me.
I think I'd still put Allen ahead of him, but definitely ahead of Stafford and Herbert and stuff.
It's tough to gauge because it's tough to gauge how. So are we talking about this year in total? Because if we're just talking about this year, Rodgers and Brady makes sense. But if we're talking about, building a football team around Russell Wilson, I'd have Watson over Wilson. I'd have Watson over Brady. I'd have Watson over Rodgers. If we're talking about building a team, I don't think that's where they're going.
No, I think it's literally right now, who would you want? Like who is the best?
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think it's a future thing because then, you'd bump
Brady
Josh
and
Allen.
Rodgers wouldn't.
Yeah, and Josh Allen probably go to the top of the list, and even Russell Wilson would go down because he's getting up there in age. And
so
Dak
we're gonna
approach
these lists as present. So there's not much we talked about. We gave a lot of our thoughts on the quarterback position last week, so I want to go to the running back position, and I kind of want to play a little game with you because you haven't seen this list.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go 1 through 10. Who do you think's number one? I think this is pretty obvious, but who do you think's number 1?
Well,
it's pretty obvious.
Is it?
Yeah.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
fair enough.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to go against a member of the 2,000-yard club and what he does for the entire Titans offense. And I thought it wasn't sustainable. And at age 27, he's only getting better. So I think you have to put Henry up there. This is where it gets interesting for me, because if I'm building, and I guess maybe health has some things to do with it, but I don't think you're going to guess number 2, but you can go for it.
Christian McCaffrey.
No.
Dalvin Cook.
No.
Saquon Barkley.
Nope. Tell me when you want to stop.
Alvin Kamara.
Kamara's not, and look, I love Kamara, and I think he's very good, but I would have.
I think health must have something to do with. I don't know. I'd pick Christian McCaffrey. That's why I said him first, because if it were my list, McCaffrey would be second.
Last year,
Although
McCaffrey
me in
finished,
fantasy, but he.
Yeah, well, fantasy and reality are two different things, but
It was just injuries, really.
Kamara has been filthy. I mean, we'll go through the rest of the list before I give my thoughts on it. Number 3,
McCaffrey, like he's got to be up there somewhere. Really?
No.
Dalvin Cook.
Yes. So
Okay.
Cook is 3.
I like Cook a lot.
Number 4, you're not gonna guess this. Number 4.
So it's not McCaffrey.
It's not McCaffrey.
Nick Chubb.
Wow. Look at you. Look at you. Well,
Hey.
you thought about guys you haven't guessed yet. I kind of I threw you a little.
It's gonna get harder the farther down we go, but like he's
Number
one of the
5.
best, so I guess he's up there. McCaffrey.
McCaffrey.
Okay, thank you.
McCaffrey.
Jesus, we're gonna get there somewhere.
Number 6, which
Barkley.
yeah, Saquon's 6.
Okay, yeah,
7.
he's up there. Josh Jacobs. Aaron Jones.
Mm-mm. You're missing a pretty obvious one.
Am I?
Yeah.
Zeke.
Yeah, Zeke at
Okay.
7.
Okay.
Now number 8.
Okay. That is it. One of the ones I just named.
Could be.
Goddamn, Aaron Jones.
Yes, 9.
Okay. What was the other one I didn't say? I said earlier. Josh Jacobs.
Close, but no.
Close. How's that close?
I'll give
I
it to
don't
you. Jacobs is 10, so
Okay.
9.
Carson.
No.
No. I don't know. I give up.
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon. Oh yeah, no, I would have never gotten that one.
So 1 through 10 is Henry, Kamara, Cook, Chubb, McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, Jones, Mixon, Jacobs. Jonathan Taylor, Miles Sanders. First of all, I would take Miles Sanders and Jonathan Taylor over Jacobs. I'm not a big believer in Mixon, even though he's been consistent. I think I would still take Taylor and Sanders over both.
Well, see, for Jonathan Taylor, I think after
1
this year,
possibly.
after this year, his stock will rise tremendously.
I have issue, and I think injuries have something to do with it. But McCaffrey and Saquon, in my opinion, are 2 and 3.
Yeah, I could get with that behind that. I mean, definitely McCaffrey. I think injuries really plagued his season last year, and I think he's definitely number 2.
I think Derrick Henry is just something you can't ignore. Putting him at 1, but I think Saquon. I'm a little biased. I think when healthy, Saquon is number 2, and then McCaffrey is 3, and then I would go Kamara, Cook, Chubb.
Well. See, even in my opinion, I mean, as a pure running back, yeah, Derrick Henry definitely, but like in terms of running and receiving, I can make an argument for Christian McCaffrey at 1. Honestly, like at his most healthy, he is the most versatile and utility like player. Like I think that we have. You could put him at wide receiver if you wanted to, like a little slot guy. You can move him outside. You can have him be the running back coming out of the backfield. You can have him take it up the middle. You can have him run around the side. And the way that they use him is just he's a gadget guy who can just do everything, and he does it so well that I can argue for him on that side. Because Henry as a receiver, there's much to be left to be desired. But if we're talking just pure running, obviously, like Derrick Henry, you got to do it.
So I thought that list was interesting, and Fowler is doing this throughout the next couple weeks with every position. So there's a bunch.
We'll be talking about this every single week
until training camp comes around. We have football to talk about. You betcha. One more list, and I know I'm going to get Taylor all riled up on this one. There's a list, a fan poll that came out, and it's teams that made the playoffs in 2020, but will most likely miss them in 2021. And it's 1 through 10, or 1 through 8, I'm sorry, with 1 being the most likely to miss, with 8 being, as it goes down, less likely, less people voted on him. Bears are number 1, which I get because they shouldn't have made the playoffs last year, and
new quarterback, you never know how that's going to go.
You don't know how the whole quarterback situation is going to go with Fields. The Washington football team at 2 shouldn't have won. Shouldn't have won the division last year, but they did, and they have Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. I think the NFC East is going to be better. It can't be worse than last year. And I don't think Washington got better. I just don't know how they got better. Ryan Fitzpatrick is what he is. They're going to be, middle of the pack. So I agree with that. I'm just going to let Taylor run away with this one. Number 3 of the teams that made the playoffs in 2020, but is most likely to miss them in 2021 is the Carson Wentz-led Indianapolis Colts.
All right, you said this was a fan vote, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that the fans don't know anything. Like, they're dumb as rocks. I'm dumb as rocks. I'm one of those fans. And I'll go ahead and say that I think anyone who voted for the Indianapolis Colts third most likely to not make the playoffs is an absolute fool. And I think that is entirely because they do not believe in Carson Wentz, which obviously we both do, and we think it's absurd.
Yeah, you don't need to hear me defend Carson Wentz anymore than I already have.
Getting a new system, a totally new system, new environment, new coach, new players, new staff is not going to help Carson Wentz get back to he doesn't even have to be amazing. He doesn't have to be an MVP for us to make the freaking playoffs. All he has to do is be a little above average, and that's he was terrible last year.
And that's just it. Like, the Colts, in my opinion, not only are the favorite in that division, but you have expanded playoffs in the AFC after the top 6 is pretty weak. Like, the AFC is a bunch of weak teams. That's it. So it's going to be wide open. I don't see how the Colts miss the playoffs and how they're the third most likely team from last year's playoff poll to miss the playoffs, because you're getting an MVP caliber quarterback when he's right in Carson Wentz. The Colts have managed to do it before with Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers. So I'm not exactly worried about Carson Wentz. They have one of the top defenses in the league.
Top 10 for sure.
They have the best offensive line in football.
Agreed.
Now, are some of the offensive weapons a little suspect? Sure. But you have the running game.
Worse.
And as we've talked about on the show before, Carson has led a bunch of practice squad players to a division title. So back under Frank Reich, who was one of the masterminds behind his MVP caliber season before he blew out his knee, I was baffled when I saw the Colts at 3.
The running game is going to be one of the best because we both believe in Jonathan Taylor. Plus, we didn't get rid of Marlon Mack. We still have him and Neiman Hines. So it's going to be like a 3-headed monster in the backfield behind one of the best, if not the best, offensive line, especially in the run game. Like, they're so-so at pass protection. They're good for sure, but they're not like the best pass protecting team in the league. But they are an amazing run blocking team. And the only hole that we ever had was the left tackle because Costanzo retired, but we replaced it with Eric Fisher, who I believe is going to be fine. I mean, he's coming back from injury, but as long as he can be marginally good, especially because he plays on the side that, Quentin Nelson can slide over to if he needs to, or be at and help him out. And so, there's no big turmoil in this team besides losing Phillip Rivers and getting Carson Wentz, which I would argue is an upgrade because Phillip Rivers was old. He retired. And getting Carson Wentz, who can move, who can throw on the run, who's a great teammate. I mean, aside from last year.
Don't ask the Philadelphia media.
Yeah, I know. But aside from last year, I don't see why Carson Wentz can't have at least a good enough season to make the playoffs.
No,
And it's not even like our division is that tough. I mean, we have
you have Jacksonville and
Titans
Houston, who are two of the arguably worst teams in all of
Exactly.
football.
It's
And
us
you have
and Tennessee.
You have Tennessee, who I have reservations about. Look, you can add all the wide receivers you want, but you still have Tannehill at quarterback, and Derrick Henry. As much as we just talked about how good he is another year older, and he's a running back. So we'll see.
We don't
the
even have
defense
to
isn't that good.
We don't even have to technically beat the Titans if we just beat up on the other teams and win or win against everyone else. So it's like
go 4-2 in the division. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Tennessee would likely go 6-0 in the division, but
but like, going back to what you were saying too is like there's gonna be wild card spots to be had, and so it's like I don't see how they could, if they didn't make the playoffs, it would be a colossal failure.
Yeah. If the Colts,
epically bad failure.
If the Colts miss the playoffs, it's either because A, Carson Wentz got hurt, or B, the season, like I said about the Eagles, if Jalen Hurts materializes, the Eagles could surprise a lot of people and win that division. If Carson Wentz is more, and I doubt this is going to be the case, but if Carson Wentz is more of a 2020 version of himself than a 2016 to 2019 version of himself, the Colts are going to struggle and they're probably going to miss the playoffs. And you're talking about, finding someone else. You took on Carson's contract, but you're talking about who's going to be next at quarterback for the Colts. But that's not a discussion I expect to have. I say that saying that I never expected to see Carson Wentz wear a jersey other than midnight green, but here we are. I want to get through the rest of this list because why this list is so asinine to me, starting with the Colts at number 3, with most likely to miss the playoffs after making in 2020. The Saints, who don't even you're going to have Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill as your quarterbacks. You didn't get better anywhere else positionally. You kind of stayed status quo.
No, this one makes sense, kind of.
But I would put them ahead of the Colts. Look, you're in a really tough
For
division.
sure.
You're in a really tough division. Some people really like Carolina's potential this year too. And if Sam Darnold materializes, Atlanta's going to be a dumpster fire, but they still have talent, so you never know. The Saints, I believe, should be higher than the Colts. And then you have 3 straight AFC. It's almost like the fans think the Bengals are going to win the division because 5, 6, 7 is Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Baltimore. Pittsburgh, I don't think is going to be very good. I don't think Pittsburgh makes the playoffs. I don't think Pittsburgh makes the playoffs.
List. Yep.
However, and I'm a believer in prove to me it wasn't a fluke with Cleveland, but I think because of the AFC being what it is, I don't see Cleveland missing it. And Baltimore got better. Lamar's a good regular season quarterback. They'll make the playoffs. Will they have success in the playoffs? No, but Baltimore will make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, Cleveland is too. Cleveland and Baltimore are probably both making the playoffs, especially because Cleveland is arguably one of the best teams in the AFC, and they haven't really changed.
So anything. 2 of the wild card teams, and probably is either Tennessee or Indianapolis, and either Cleveland or Baltimore. In my opinion,
I agree with that. Those are going to be the most competitive races for the divisions, and whoever doesn't win is going to be in the wild card.
Because I'm not looking at the AFC East and thinking a team's hitting the wild card out of that division. Maybe because of the 3rd spot now, but
possibly. I mean, it depends on how Miami plays with Tua and whatnot, but
it's not going to be the
possible.
Jets. It's not going to be New England. I don't think. I mean, it could be New England, but
I mean, the rumor has it that Cam Newton is all better now, but we'll see.
Yeah, now that they drafted a guy, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then number 8 is Seattle. I get it, but in my opinion, that's based off of the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo finds the second coming of himself and leads the Niners to a division title, because Trey Lance, even though I like Trey Lance long term, You're not asking a rookie quarterback to take that Niners team and win that division with Seattle in it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Arizona. I don't believe in Kyler Murray as a very good NFL quarterback. He's a great fantasy quarterback, but an NFL quarterback, I'm not on the Kyler train at all.
I'm like half on.
And I just don't think I just don't think what Arizona's doing. I like Hopkins, but I just don't think as a whole what Arizona's doing is going to result in anything substantial outside of maybe a wild card spot. But even then, I think that's being generous considering how deep the NFC is this year.
Yeah.
And you have the Rams. So I think the Rams are going to win that division. But the Seahawks are going to be good with 3 wild card spots. I mean, you try to break down the NFC, and I guess I understand out of the teams that made the playoffs last year. I guess that's where Seattle comes in. I guess you have to keep that mindset that they're picking from teams that made the playoffs last year, and Seattle is on there. So they're kind of creeping into that territory, but I'd be hard pressed to believe that they're not one of the wild card teams. I'm not thinking any wild card teams are coming out of the NFC East. I think you're just going to have the division winner. Minnesota, I don't think Minnesota's better than Seattle. Chicago sure isn't. Detroit sure isn't. So that leaves Green Bay if Aaron if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, which is still another question mark, they're not even better. So someone has to win that NFC North. So you might see, maybe you do see 2 or 3 AFC or NFC North or West teams, make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely if Matthew Stafford is as good as the last list we did, and he's really the 6th.
The Rams are for real. The Rams are for real.
Then the Rams are gonna make it. I think that the Niners are going to be much better than they were, because you got to remember, like, everyone forgets that the reason that they fell off a lot is because of all the injuries that they had to their defensive line, Nick Bosa and someone else, the other guy in the line, I forget. But like their defense was gutted in like the first couple weeks with like ACL injuries and whatnot. So they're going to come back hopefully and be healthy and be ready. And they're not handing the reins, like you said, you're not handing the reins straight off to a rookie quarterback. They're giving it to Jimmy Garoppolo, the guy who, I don't know, made a Super Bowl like 2 years ago. So like, yeah, this team is most certainly ready to be in the playoffs, and I think that they'll get back there. But I think Seattle could still compete for one of those wild card spots.
If Russell Wilson's your quarterback, you're competing for the playoffs.
Exactly. And maybe they're giving it to because, Seattle's had its ups and downs where the defense hasn't been good some years.
But that's been their Achilles heel. Like, we say that every year, and Seattle finds themselves in the playoffs. They don't miss the playoffs.
Because Russell Wilson is so good. And he's still there, so...
And Pete Carroll does a heck of a job maximizing what he has out of his players. Like, you may not like Pete Carroll, and I'm not Pete Carroll's biggest fan, but bottom line is he gets the most out of his players.
But then, I don't know else. I guess I don't know who you would put, because like you said, it is picking from teams that made the playoffs last year. And unless you're going to go ahead and say, like, Tampa is somehow not going to make the playoffs after winning the Super Bowl, which I'm sure could happen. Maybe Tom Brady hits the wall.
I mean, we're going to do predictions as the season gets closer, so I'm not going to, give away all my thoughts. But if you're looking at it, 4 division winners, and then you're looking at the 3 wild card spots, I just rattled off my thoughts on the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers. So let me put it this way: Aaron Rodgers' status weighs heavily on a lot of this.
Oh, true. I mean, I guess if he doesn't play, then Green Bay is definitely out.
Right.
For sure.
There's an NFC East team that could surprise. I mean, look, Dallas could.
I like Washington.
Say Dallas.
Dallas is Dallas.
Say Dallas wins the division, but all of a sudden Jalen Hurts finds the second coming. The Eagles are no, but the Eagles could find themselves. They're a very, very talented team. If Jalen Hurts can find a way to right the ship, and then the Giants, they, you have some nice things, but as long as Daniel Jones is your quarterback, I'm not taking you anywhere. And Dallas has the talent; they just don't have it's the NFC's a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that in a whole other episode as football season gets closer. We're going to break that all down. We're going to have a whole episode based on predictions and walkthroughs and all that. So I'm not.
I mean, we're at an hour 20 now,
and we're at an hour 20.
Giving the people what they want for an hour and 20 minutes.
So God bless you if you're with us this long. Quick little shout out. Saratoga opening day is this Thursday. I will find myself at the track. Taylor, I know you will be working. I might see Gaz there. I'm not sure.
One can only hope.
But I will definitely be there, and I'm very excited to get back to the track and win some money and just be there. It's the reason why you're in the capital region during the summertime is for track season, and just spend the days up at the spa. I got my season pass, free admission on opening day, which is Thursday, July 15th. If you are vaccinated, all you have to do is show your New York Excelsior pass or proof that you are vaccinated, and you get in admission for free, which is really cool. Outside of that, it's only opening day. 40 days full of racing. Monday and Tuesday are the dark days. So really exciting stuff. And especially with track season coming around, you want to look good, right? You want that fresh haircut. Go check out our boy Jeremiah up at Saving Face Barbershop. He's off exit 13N in Saratoga. Well, depending on which way you come, 13N, 13S.
You could get there.
You could get there.
You can even get off at 12 and you can find it.
Yeah, so he is off the Northway there up in Saratoga Springs. A great atmosphere there. He has a bunch of other guys as well that can give you the style that you want. He's not going to be satisfied until you are. So tell him what you want. He's going to make it work. Just a great hangout scene. You can hang out, watch TV, talk with all the guys. Great to talk to. And just a really cool atmosphere, and he's doing really well, especially with the pandemic winding down and summer winding up and track season. Everybody coming into Saratoga. Go check out our boy. You can do at home appointments if you want. I don't recommend it. I recommend experiencing the atmosphere he has there. Quick, easy. He'll get you in and out. It's a very relaxing experience though as well. So. He has multiple options. You could do a beard trim. That's not for me with my baby face, but he does, he could do your beard. He does the whole 9 yards. So definitely go check out Jeremiah up there in Saratoga Springs at Saving Face Barbershop. We are sponsored by them. Again, Mohawk Honda and Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. Your best way back to normal. Welcome Levac back to the Godzilla Media. They had their first show up at the Hideaway last weekend. That was really fun to watch. Big round of applause. The boys are back. They're booming.
We got the band back together again.
Got the band back together, and it feels so damn good.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning into our show. Enjoy the NBA Finals. Hopefully we have a little bit of a resolution by the time we come back on air next week. It possibly might not be over yet. We might be looking into game 6, game 7. So if the Bucks win another one, we'll be talking about it once again. We'll be talking about it either way, but hopefully Team USA gets its act together.
They're going to. They're winning tonight.
Yes. We'll see.
Yesterday.
Yes,
you're listening.
They're going to win yesterday.
They will have already won. So I'm right. Congrats to myself.
MLB trade deadline is going to be coming fast and furious. So we'll start tackling that with the teams who are going to be buyers and sellers. And then of course, anything NFL and any other big news that comes our way. Thank you for joining us. For Taylor Lattimore, I am Bryce Zielinski. We will catch you next week.
See ya.